Welcome back to Pages, Panels, and Pictures, your one-stop spot for all things comics, movies, and more. Early reviews for Morbius are in, and well, they aren't looking too good. Let's just dive in.
Daniel Espinosa, the director, he did an interview answering some questions about how Morbius connects to Spider-Man, the MCU, and the rest of the Sonyverse, blah, blah, blah. There's no Spider-Man in the movie, apparently. And the clip in the trailer that we saw where he was walking past the Spider-Man poster, not even in the actual end film. So, literally no Spider-Man. Except for one moment. We'll talk about that a little later, I feel. But when asked, is there a Spider-Man in this universe, Daniel Espinosa said, of course. That leads me to believe either in an MCU project, since we're dealing with the multiverse, or Craven. I could really see it just being Craven, because I think they would want to introduce the Spider-Man in this universe before Venom 3, so that they don't have a reverse situation of Spider-Man 3. You can't introduce Spider-Man in the universe, have this big dynamic build up to this battle between him and Venom, and then have it end in that movie. It would not be good. And when he was asked which Spider-Man, he said, it is to my understanding that audiences will discover soon. And I've been hearing a lot of rumors that we're getting a fourth Spider-Man. It won't be Tobey or Andrew. And it's confirmed that this movie takes place in the Venomverse. So at that point, we know the Spider-Man of this universe is not Tobey Maguire. Since, well, we've seen his dealings with Venom. Introducing a fourth Spider-Man, I don't think is the worst idea. I think it would be a better idea to save Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire for like those special treats that it'll draw people in. Like from a commercial standpoint, it's a great idea. But we just got attached to Tom Holland, and we just rekindled that fire that we all feel for Andrew Garfield, and for most of us that we didn't even know we had. But then we're gonna have to do it all over again in the Venomverse, and based on how the Sonyverse is going, I don't think they would produce a very good iteration of Spider-Man on their own. I don't know. What are your thoughts on all that?
Honestly, I just don't want to see Andrew Garfield get the exact same treatment he got before from Sony. I don't think Sony should handle any Spider-Man projects on their own just because of like what the past showed. Why fix something that's not broken? Why can't we just broker a deal with Marvel and have them handle the burn things? Because they're the guys that are good at doing these things. As far as like to which Spider-Man would be interacting with them, it doesn't matter to me. I love them all equally. I've come to that conclusion after rewatching No Way Home again. Like I appreciate the fact that they exist. I will say this: I have no interest in seeing a Morbius movie with no Spider-Man at all. I have no interest in seeing a Craven movie with no Spider-Man, because what the fuck? Who cares?
Like, look how Venom turned out.
Well, different with him because Venom is a bit more pop culture. He's Spider-Man's most pop culture villain, even more than the Green Goblin. I swear to you. Like everybody associates Venom with Spider-Man first. He looks more like Spider-Man than any of the other ones. Like he's easily identifiable by children. Venom can work alone. Venom can do his own thing. Now, who he faces other than symbiotes, you got to steal from other places. I get that. But most people don't even know who Kraven the Hunter is. Like the general audience might not have it.
I feel like if done right, both of those movies could be done on their own. Like Morbius, I liked when they were first marketing it, and they were marketing it as a horror movie more so. And then the later trailers and the later vignettes and stuff all made it really superhero-y and made it about the connection to Spider-Man, just for that to not pay off apparently. But and if they would have kept the horror aspect and not went all superhero and cheesy with it, I think it would have hit better with audiences. And like in terms of Craven, there is a storyline. His introduction in the Ultimate Spider-Man comics is he's filming a like Man vs. Wild documentary show where he's going around New York, or he's going around the world hunting all the most dangerous prey. And his last pit stop, his season finale, is he's going to go to New York and hunt the most dangerous prey, Spider-Man. And I think it would be cool if they did something like that. And if they were to ignore Spider-Man, they could do things like he could hunt the Vulture, he could hunt the Scorpion, he could hunt Rhino, he could hunt all the animal-based villains. And then I still think there's no way they can't build to Spider-Man eventually, but like post-credit scene teased that he's like, oh, so that's the real most dangerous prey. And then he locks eyes on Spider-Man like Venom did in the post-credit scene.
Right.
But
so it's a lead.
Yeah, so I just feel like Sony is kind of botching it. It's not that these things can't be done. I think that Sony doesn't have the capacity to do it with the resources they have, the limited material they can use, because they only have Sony Marvel characters. But yeah, I definitely think, well, it's not a secret. It's time for Sony to hand the reins over to Marvel. It's been a fun ride. We got some good out of it. The Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies, at least parts of them were fantastic.
Yeah.
And we couldn't have had No Way Home without Sony, and we can't ignore that. But anytime they act on their own, it's like when a child acts out on their own compared to when they're with their parents.
That's for real.
But outside of all of that, we have some post-credit scene spoilers. Okay, before I get into those, so this is a prime example of why Sony doesn't know what they're doing. Daniel Espinosa himself, the director, spoiled these post-credit scenes himself. Completely. Like, scene for scene, like, shot for shot, pretty much, spoiled these post-credit scenes. So, that's ridiculous, and you pretty much don't need to see the movie if you see these post-credit, or if you hear these post-credit scenes. That's what it boils down to. And on Thursday, Friday, whenever it comes out, I'll be there. I'm a Marvel stan, so I'm still gonna give them my fucking $9 for a ticket. But yeah, I'll confirm if these are true or not in our spoiler review, I guess. But the first post-credit scene opens with the space-time distortions we saw in No Way Home, the big purple cracks in the sky. And everyone who's getting pulled back to their proper universes is getting pulled back. We see Adrian Toomes, the Vulture. We see him get yanked from the MCU and sent to Morbius' universe. That explains how he's here. But since he was in prison, he appears in a prison in the Morbius universe. And since he didn't commit any crimes in this universe, he is obviously released. And that's pretty much that. Yeah, that ends the scene. It pretty much is just here to get Vulture into the MCU. Apparently, all of his scenes are reduced to a post-credit scene. Well, both post-credit scenes. Spoiler alert, Vulture's in the second one. But yeah, so, I don't know. They kind of took a really great villain from the MCU that I think could have been utilized in a Spider-Man 4, 5, or 6 really well. And that sucks, but hopefully Michael Keaton brings some heat to the fucking Sonyverse then, if he's gonna be there. I don't want some dog shit writing making him into a piece of shit character too. But we can just get straight into the second one. The second one is Morbius is driving along in a car, and Vulture flies overhead in suit, but not his suit from the MCU. Obviously, he wouldn't have had that if he was transported. But I really need to know what suit this is, and I feel like it's probably reminiscent of the suit that they showed in the case in the post-credit scene of the Andrew Garfield movie. I wouldn't mind that. That looked kind of comic booky. It had like the green line suit and stuff, but it was just metallic instead of his weird cloth Vulture costume. So it's not bad, but he tells Morbius that he's seeking revenge on Spider-Man, to which Morbius, for some reason, God knows why, accepts his invitation, setting up a future Sinister Six project.
Yeah, like, what would be? He doesn't even know who the fuck Spider-Man is.
Thank you.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I definitely, I don't know what's going on with the Sonyverse. I know they've been trying to do Sinister Six since the Andrew Garfield movies. It's been in production this entire time. It has never once not been in production. And they're gonna force it to happen one way or another. It's like fucking WWE forcing Roman Reigns down our throat, whether we like it or not. We are getting Sinister Six. And I don't think this is the right way to do it yet again. I think the Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man movies did it better, honestly. Like, we'll have to see like how the cinematography is and stuff, but it would have to be a lot to save the fucking hokiness and nonsensical behavior going down in this scene. Like, why the fuck does Morbius care? Tell this old bitch to go away. Unless they give us a heel turn in the movie. We don't have too many spoilers on the movie itself besides that it's bad.
Yeah.
So, who knows? It might fit a little bit more once we get the context throughout the film and the post-credit scenes. But, I don't know. It's weird to me because a lot of people, like, this is confirmed to be in the Venomverse. But
yeah,
a lot of people still left the theater not knowing what universe this belonged to. And after No Way Home, that's a fucking problem. Like, you cannot just ignore that.
I think after Morbius flops, Marvel may try to step in and save the future of these things. Venom is such a viable property for Sony and for Marvel in turn because, I mean, the better Venom does, the better Spider-Man does, vice versa, vice versa. It does Marvel good to have Sony do well with Venom.
Yeah.
And I don't them failing with a whole movie franchise that could be marketable and lucrative like Morbius may shift things. Amy Pascal, that's her name.
Yeah.
She'll reach back out. Maybe we'll get that again, the deal that they did with Spider-Man. Who knows? Like, because that's kind of what happened, was it not? Amazing Spider-Man 2 kind of went, and they went there, like, what can we do to have this character be successful? And then they came up with the Tom Holland solution.
They said, Tony Stark.
Pretty much, man. So that's basically, hopefully we can get that going with Morbius, Vulture, or whoever else they decide to throw in the shit can over there at Sony. Oh, and this makes me feel great for the future of everything else that they're doing.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's actually a perfect transition to get into that topic, I guess. We have to wonder what the future of the Sonyverse has in store, but we know that they've gotten ambitious since No Way Home. They've announced a number of new projects. Spider-Man 2099 project in the works, Across the Spider-Verse 1 and 2. Madam Web, we're getting talks and hints of a Miles Morales iteration, and not to mention just the other confirmed non-Spider titles like Kraven. It's a lot, and the future isn't looking good already for the upcoming Kraven film, let alone the rest of this. Like, Venom 1 and 2 got terrible, ravingly terrible reviews. And
I like that movie.
I enjoyed them. I thought they were very enjoyable films, but they were bad. I'll say the second one was bad. The first one was just not good. And then if this is as much of a flop as everyone says it is, like I said, you got to take these reviews with a grain of salt because they said Venom was shit, and I walked out satisfied with that. But I don't know. It's weird, and I know people are saying they want like an Amazing Spider-Man 3, but do we not remember how 1 and 2 went down? People were not happy about these movies because Sony does not know how to handle these characters. But with that being said, let's dive into some, I guess, more positive news. We got a little rumored casting for Miles Morales being Jaden Smith, son of the Slapmaster himself. Will Smith said in an interview, "My son's preparing himself both physically and mentally to take place of one of the characters who will make history for the first time in a saga of a movie." At first glance, that's a very confusing statement, but break it down, it sounds like he's going to be replacing a certain Spider-Man, and I would not mind if he replaced like Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire. Obviously, it wouldn't work for Tom Holland, and if they replace the fourth Spider-Man right after bringing him in, boy, are they silly. How do you feel about this casting?
Jaden Smith, I like him. But it just depends on who his Peter Parker is to how good Miles is going to be, because that dynamic is very important.
I definitely agree with that. It's got to be someone who actually, like, I don't feel like Andrew Garfield felt like he had it together. It felt like this was a closure movie to help him start to get it together. And maybe we could see that progression in either his next appearance, wherever it may be, Secret Wars or whatever, or with Miles, we could see that he finally did have that proper Spider-Man glow up after this, and it wasn't just an origin story for Tom Holland, it ends up being one for Andrew Garfield. We know that them seeing Tobey Maguire let them know that there's hope for their future and that they will be happy in the end and stuff, and they will be the best Spider-Man they can be. But I really need to see that from whoever plays Peter for Miles. Like, I don't want it to just be this angry Sony versus Peter, and then he just gets clapped and Miles is left. Like, that would be some Sony shit that I could see happening, and I fear for that, but we gotta trust in them. They have high expectations and standards when it comes to Miles Morales, and so far with Into the Spider-Verse, they did do well with that. We didn't talk about that movie in like our list of bitching, but Into the Spider-Verse is arguably still the best Spider-Man movie. And we got to commend Sony for that one, I guess. But aside from him, we got a confirmation of Euphoria's Sydney Sweeney. She's cast for an upcoming Sony project, and all signs point to Madam Web. I could see her being a number of characters. I could see her being Gwen Stacy variant of some sort. I could see her being Felicia Hardy, the Black Cat. I could see her being a different one of the other Spider-Womans. There's a few different ones. Or like Arachne is like a teenage, like Robin-esque Spider-Woman type character. And I could see that going down. But there's not really much information on that. That just needed to be put out into the air. I'm excited to see the introduction of most of these characters. I don't really want a new Gwen Stacy. I'm sorry, I love Emma Stone, and her death was one of probably the most beautiful scene in a Spider-Man movie. It was so heart-wrenching, and I feel like if Gwen comes back, that's partially just undone. It doesn't matter if it's a different universe. It's the same issue people have with Tom Cruise coming back and being Iron Man. Like, this character had the perfect send-off. It doesn't matter who plays them. They are gone, and it was done right. Do not dig up the past.
Which I kind of feel mixed ways about that. I think Tom Cruise would do fine, but at the same time, like, to speak on these like upcoming Sony movies and stuff like that, I wasn't kind of excited. But now, like, if anything, I'm disheartened and I'm afraid for the future because we're getting Morbius with no fucking Spider-Man, bro. We've got Venom with no. How much do you want to bet we're going to get these movies with no Spider-Man? How the fuck are we going to have Madam Web or any of these spider-centric characters with no Spider-Man?
Even if it's going to be a bad Spider-Man, I think Marvel could, like, loosen the shackles a little bit and give them the option to throw a Spider-Man into the mix. And if it's not Marvel doing it, then what the fuck? Why have you been waiting so long, Sony?
For real, because we need it. Like, the same way we needed Spider-Man on screen together. I would love to see Spider-Man versus Kraven the Hunter. Dear God, that would be amazing to see.
Yeah, man. I love Kraven. He's an underrated villain. He is. I just love the, like, primal nature of the character. And I think that, what's his name? Aaron Taylor Johnson. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think he is going to be a really good Quicksilver. I've never seen a movie where he was in, even if it was a bad movie, he dives into that role so full-heartedly and so well. I'm really impressed with his growth as an actor. But I need to see that against a good Spider-Man. Miles is not ready for that. Our next topic, Spider-Man 2099 got confirmed that it's a project in the works. How do we have Spider-Man 2099 and Miles Morales but we don't have an announcement for Peter fucking Parker.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't make sense, bro. It makes no sense. I just need to know that there's a future in what I'm watching. Like, I don't want to be disappointed, and Sony's kind of been about that. So
I guess only time will tell what Sony can bring us, what they can do, get some help from Marvel, whatever. But I for one, I'm still going to be in the theater on Friday watching Morbius, and I think it will still be enjoyable. I'm hoping. Who knows? The future's everything. The future's anything.
it's true. This is true.
Pages, Panels, and Pictures is now teaming with Studio 5 Star to bring you all your favorite comic and anime graphic tees and decal stickers. You can check out our new Moon Knight inspired design, Praise the Moon, which I'm wearing right now, as well as our previous designs, Vengeance and Strange World. These products are only available for a limited time, so get those while you can and use the code PANELS at checkout to get 30% off your order. Swing by their Shop and Many Things on Etsy, link is in the description below, and check them out on Instagram at Studio 5 Star Official.
You can find my co-host here on all social media at @TilTheEnd. Other than that, you can find me on Instagram at RoachTheBoyWonder. There you can get updates on this channel. You get some pretty cool artwork, and you can hit me up for all your art commission needs. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell to get notified when we drop another episode. Yeah, that's about it.
And on that note, rest in peace, Scott Hall. Pages, Pictures, and Panels. I'm your host, Till the End, with my co-host, Roach Boy Red.
And remember, guys, keep my wife's name out your mouth.